Disney, what happened? Fellas, guys and gals, whoever's here, welcome back to the channel. As you can already tell from the title of this video, we are obviously talking about The Acolyte Episode 3. In case you didn't watch that last video, I said I wasn't going to be making a video on every single episode, but I just had so much I wanted to talk about after this one, and nobody to talk about it with. So I was like, oh my gosh, oh my... Boom. I'll just make a video about it. So here we are, you know what I'm saying? I will also say those first two episodes I thought weren't that bad. You know what I'm saying? I thought they were pretty all right. But this one didn't really stick the landing for me the same. So as most of us already know, this episode was the prelude to the whole May OSHA story they got going on. Their like origin story per se, where they were before OSHA went to the Jedi and May went to the Sith. The whole like incident that they've been talking about too, like saying that there was a fire that killed May. This is what that is. We get to see fully how that all happened and what's going on in their world. Firstly, just to get it all out of the way, this episode had a lot of controversy behind it leading up to it, because this was potentially gonna be the gayest Star Wars has ever been. Like, they were setting a new bar for just woke. But so touching on that, personally, I didn't even think it was that crazy, you know what I'm saying? So the main coven of witches, all lesbians. That's not like directly said to us, but it's implied that that's what's going on here. But it's not really like they're like shoving that down our throats. All we really see is like we see some face tickling. It's like, all right, whatever. It honestly wasn't the biggest deal in the world. It certainly wasn't going to make me like cut off the TV right away. Like, oh my gosh, they've done it now. I can't believe this. They are tickling each other's faces. I'm pretty sure that's the extent of the women on women activities that we at least see in the show. But also, what I'm really having a hard time with this all women coven is how they just gave birth to two twin girls. We're not going to get into the whole birds and the bees talk here, fellas, but there needs to be a man around for this to happen. It's loosely explained in the show that the Force had something to do with it. Like, the Force just immaculate conceptioned these children into existence. If that's the route they're trying to take here, that's a rather big implication to make. I don't know if they realize that or not. For anyone who remembers true Star Wars, the only other time this has ever happened in the story's existence is with Anakin Skywalker, and Homeboy is literally the chosen one. I mean, he is one of the strongest Jedi to ever live. So the only thing I'm getting from this is they're either putting these twins up to his level, or they're just downplaying the significance of that event by just doing it again. I mean, that was such a big, pivotal, like crazy moment in the story, and now we're just, oh, I guess the Force just makes anybody. You know what I'm saying? I guess the Force just cranks out kids all over the place that we just don't know about. It was just weird. I just didn't really like that at all. If there was anything I could gripe about with the whole lesbian coven of women, it's that. That just didn't really sit right with me at all. We're still pretty early on in the show, but there was never a time where I felt like an agenda being pushed with that. Like, I never felt like them like trying to like sneakily say anything by all that. Moving on from just that though, talking about the actual coven itself, like I said, I didn't really feel any sort of lesbian agenda being shoved down my throat, but the actual coven themselves I still had a problem with. So leading up to this show, the whole marketing, all the talks about this show is we're gonna see the dark side of the Force. It's gonna be High Republic, seeing the like dark side, seeing what's going on that's not Jedi, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna see Sith. We're gonna see, like, I thought we were gonna see a lot more of like what the Sith were doing back then, because this is supposed to be before the Rule of Two. So it was just the Wild West for Sith back then. There was millions of them. Or at least there should have been. There should have been Sith all over the place. And I thought we were gonna see something like that. Instead, with this coven, it feels like they're almost like humbling them. They're trying to like humanize them. Like, they're not necessarily outright saying they're like good people per se, but they're trying to like frame them as a group of people that are good, that just aren't the Jedi in the Republic. You know what I'm saying? Like, so far, that whole episode, it literally felt like the Coven was the good guys, the protagonists of the whole story, the side that we're supposed to be on, and the evil Jedi are coming into their house, like, where's your children? Bring me the kids. I mean, it just didn't make sense. The entire story of Star Wars is the Jedi is the good side of the Force, the good people, the side you root for. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why they're trying to almost frame them as the bad guys here. I just really wanted a show about the dark side of the Force. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we didn't even really see much about what this coven's got going on, what they're about at all, but it doesn't look like they're about red lightsabers and killing people. So it's already an L in my book. If anything, this feels more agenda pushing because it's like, oh, instead of telling a story about the Sith, let's just tell a story about a group of strong women. Let's go. We're getting a little off track here. Let's just get back into things that didn't make sense for your boy. So with this coven being a group of Force users, there's a bit of a scene where they're kind of like explaining their interpretation of the Force. And this honestly, like, I also didn't necessarily have a problem with because in the timeline of Star Wars, this is a very like primitive, like in a sense, they're not using sticks and stones, but this is a still primitive group with a primitive understanding of how the Force works, and they're also super disconnected from the Jedi, who have a little bit of understanding. The Jedi themselves are still a pretty primitive understanding of things, but they still obviously know a little bit more about what's going on than the Coven. And the Coven isn't messing with them at all. So they don't have any of that knowledge. They don't know what's going on. So the whole pulling thread thing, it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? It just sounds like a very like basic general understanding of how the Force works. And I feel like that's just where their knowledge of it lies. That's just where the bar is. Next, getting into the actual story of how everything went down, that is not adding up in my head at all. All right, I am not buying it one bit. So you mean to tell me they live in an all stone base at the top of a mountain, and this little girl May lights a single book on fire, little triangle book that probably this big, on fire, and it burns down the whole base? It burns down the whole base, and it happens so fast too. Like, you mean to tell me this whole base collapses and all the entire coven of force wielding witches is dead in like 30 seconds? What did they die from? Carbon monoxide poisoning? I mean, the whole thing felt super weird. It felt really, it's not adding up, honestly. And the first two episodes were leading us to believe that something kind of bad might have happened. Something might have went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Old boy Torben and the Wookiee Jedi were like living in exile or whatever because they like felt some guilt about this thing. That boy Torben killed himself because he like felt bad about something that happened there. So what's going on with all that? They're trying to say there wasn't some like big fight or whatever, but also at the end, when Saul finally gets Osha onto the ship, if you look in the background, that boy Torben's face is all bloodied up, messed up and stuff. It could have been from a rock. But also in the future, when he's like floating and he kills himself, he's got like scars and stuff. Like, it looks like homeboy got cut up in the face. It looks like a battle happened. Like maybe the Jedi went in there and sliced and diced. But at the same time, why would that happen? What happened? That whole thing just did not make sense at all. Them trying to frame the Jedi as bad, and it feels like we're missing a whole lot of information as to what really happened at that base, because you are not going to tell me that book killed everybody. You're going to tell me that book fire killed everybody? No. My only guess for this whole thing they got going on is that it's sort of like they're trying to play a Rashomon effect. For those of you who don't know, the Rashomon effect is based off of a like old Japanese movie from the 40s or 50s. The main idea of it is like an event happening and then multiple point of views having different perspectives on what actually happened. So maybe this episode is like fully playing out from Osha's perspective of the incident. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't really know what happened to the witches or how the temple went up so quick. She just know it did happen. But maybe in another episode, we're going to see a May flashback where, oh no, I burned that book, but then the Jedi came in and blew up our temple, which wouldn't make sense at all. Why would they do that? Who knows? But that feels like the only saving grace here. And that feels like the route they're taking, because I feel like we're still missing a lot of information. There's still a lot that happened back there that we do not know about. That is not going to be the last time we see that scene. Who knows? Maybe the whole rest of the show is just flashbacks. We just keep seeing flashbacks of the same night. It's going to be the Jedi's perspective, then it's going to be the witch's perspective. maybe the witches actually are bad. That would actually kind of make sense too. Like maybe since this is from Osha's perspective, she's not going to see the witches as bad. But if we get it from the Jedi's perspective, then these people are no joke. But then why would they be bargaining with these people for their kids if they were bad Force users, dude? Oh my gosh, I just don't know. I just don't know anymore. I'm gonna keep watching this show. I'm still probably, I said it last time, but I'm still probably not gonna make a video for every episode. I do kind of want to. I might make a video for every episode, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might happen. I think I'm done ranting about this one, though. That's about all I can think of. Sorry I didn't get this video out yesterday. I watched that episode pretty late last night, and then I had to just go to bed for work. But we're here now. We're talking about it. Glad I could hash this out. You know what I'm saying? Get this stuff off the brain. And that's honestly about it. That's probably going to do it here for the video. If you guys enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. Your boy really appreciates it. I also have a video. We're going to put it right there. Bye-bye. I have a video talking about episode 1 and 2, if that's something you're interested in. So I'll put that somewhere in the description. There's a picture of it if you want to check that out. I honestly, like I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't think they were all that bad. I kind of liked the first, I wouldn't say liked, but I thought they were not bad. First episode 1 and 2. So if you want to hear what I said about that, go check it out. I'm done ranting. Thank you for watching the video. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound.